So I'm here with Mark Glaser, and Mark is the founder of PBS's blog MediaShift, as well as the 5 Across show, which I was on tonight. And what I'm curious about is, how did this start?
5 Across show?
Yeah, how did 5 Across start?
Well, I got funding. I got a grant from the Knight Foundation. And
We're going to give the context here for all this. This is all that's remaining from the 5 Across show tonight. So yes.
And so what happened with 5 Across is that I got a grant from Knight Foundation to do multimedia on my blog, to do video and to do audio. Okay. Thanks.
And all you need to see is the cord going.
And so I decided, I was trying to figure out, okay, what am I going to do with the video part of it? The audio, I started a weekly audio podcast. And the video, I just, wanted to think of something I could do. A lot of people said, well, have this live video feed with all these people emailing in and calling in and all this stuff. And I said, I'd rather just have people actually get together. I'd had these kind of virtual email roundtables where I had 4 or 5 people emailing each other and having this discussion. And that was something I did a lot. And I like this idea of having roundtable discussions. That's just something I've always liked. And so my idea was to have a casual encounter with drinks, with food, make it informal, not get people, kind of in a stuffy kind of setting. Instead, make it more informal. Have them sit around and talk about a subject that they care about. And so the idea of 5 Across is to bring 5 people who are really, have a really interesting take on a subject, different takes from different people, diverse group of people, and bring them all together for a night of an hour discussing one big topic. So we've talked about video, we've talked about Twitter, we've talked about free speech issues online, and tonight we talked about technology overload. So those are all big subjects that I've covered on my blog, but I wanted to bring people in and talk about it in depth and give them the room to talk about what they feel about the subject without saying, without making it soundbite. Most of the things I see that are online or that are on TV are very much, if there's talking heads, it's just like people arguing about something and they're just fighting over something, and then it's just like little bits and pieces and then it's over. And I wanted to have something a little bit longer, like my blog is, not a typical blog, I'm writing in depth. So I wanted to give it a little bit more depth, a little bit more heft to the subject, and let people say their mind.
And how do the subjects get chosen?
I choose them.
So they're things that you're interested in and passionate about?
I'm interested in, things I feel like at that moment. Another one we did was called An Afterlife for Newspapers. What's going to happen to newspapers next? So these are all topics that I think are big topics on my blog. They're topics that I've noticed people really care about. This subject in particular tonight, the technology overload, is something I wrote about a while ago, about technology Sabbaths.
Right.
When I talked to you about that, I talked to Ariel. And it was a subject that came up for me personally about I need to take this day off from technology. And when
Is that something you started doing?
I started doing it, and when I wrote about it, the reaction I had to that story was incredible. I really did not expect it. I usually write about media, and writing about this kind of technology overload thing is a little bit different. It's not quite on what I normally write about. I do write about media usage. And I also have written about cell phone etiquette and a similar kind of thing where it's like, that's not really what I write about, but the reaction from people made me feel like this is a subject that a lot of people want to talk about.
What kind of reactions? Like both sides of the coin?
Technology Sabbath, a lot of people were just like, this is a great idea, this is something I should do. It was just interesting to get that take. And then I also found people who just said, I do not want to disconnect. I should not. My job requires that I am connected at all times, kind of like what Annalise said. So there were a lot of people who surprised me by saying, even when I'm on a vacation, I still want to make sure I can check the news and find out what's going on. And I don't want to disconnect. So I got different sides of it. But there's something about that. I think it's definitely is like out in the zeitgeist right now.
Right.
Where people feel like they are overloaded. They feel like it is taking over their lives in a way. Of course, it's they themselves who are making that decision, but that's their feeling.
Yeah.
What can I do about it? And I think just the power of that community of people coming together to talk about it is really,
Well, I think it's
really
great.
profound.
I mean, in a sense, you're killing 2 birds with 1 stone. You're both talking about it and bringing it out, which it needs to come out more, and that's why I did the Soul Tech workshops with myself. But you're also modeling it in that you didn't do this as a video conference or a bunch of email interviews. You have us all here. we're eating food, we're drinking wine, we're together in real space.
And
And what do you think
right.
is happening here that can't happen in those other mediums?
Oh, I just think...
What's the magic?
I think it's just the face-to-face interaction. I think you learn a lot more. I think you're able to learn from just these kind of accidental things that happen. It's just the spontaneous nature of being in the same space with somebody. You learn more about them. You get to know them a lot better. I mean, I know we had email interactions, and I don't think now I feel like I have a much better idea of who you are coming in and talking to you and having you talk in a discussion like that. So for me, it's bringing people together, putting them in this setting, making them comfortable, and seeing what they have to say.
That's awesome.
And I've been really excited by the fact that it's kind of a little bit of alchemy. Kind of like taking the little elements of different people and bringing them together and seeing how will those people mix together. And for the most part, I've been really surprised because this isn't a regular cast of people who are coming together every month. So it's always a little bit of a crapshoot, and I don't do a ton of, checking how are they going to look on camera, how are they, what's going to, I don't do that much checking. So it's like, it's a little bit,
It takes a lot of work for me.
Yeah. Well, it's a little dicey. So I've been really impressed by the way that people have interacted and the way that they've worked together and the way that the stuff that's come out of it has been, I think, really powerful. So I've been really excited by the way that they've worked out. And this one tonight is a good example. It's like, the conversation flowed. I'm not going to have to edit very much at all. It's just going to be more like start-stop.
Well, that was going to be my next question so you have over an hour probably that we talked tonight. And you, I think, are going to try and get this down to half an hour, approximately?
It'll be about 25 minutes.
Okay.
It'll be broken into maybe like 6 or 7 little 3 to 5 minute subjects.
So what is Mark looking for? What's the stuff that you look for in that editing process? What's the juice?
I look for those epiphanies or those lines that really encapsulate things. I try to include everyone, make sure everyone's best stuff comes out.